Good afternoon, host.
My only. How are we?
By His grace, we are doing well. And you?
Honorable Bernard, Joel, Vanapoy, Francis Kwame, Olabode Enoch. Good afternoon to all of us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Venerable.
Yes. Good to see you again, huh?
Yes.
Joel, they didn't mention your name. Stop. You are not the spokesperson.
I hope you don't extend your platform to here.
No.
This one,
Today
I am the
is board
Shazam
meeting.
defense.
Yes. This one is board meeting.
I will discipline anybody.
Yes, sir.
Kendall is outside the country, but he can easily give me the voice.
Well noted.
So please, don't extend your platform, Wahala here. But I love it.
Honorable James, I hope you have heard.
Oh, I am.
Very good. And I hope you intend on complying.
You should be the first to comply.
No, after this one, it looks like Honorable James is always the problem, huh?
Exactly. I said you should comply. I tell him that I should be the first to comply.
All right. It looks like we don't. I think let's kickstart so that the others can join us, please.
Exactly.
Right?
So.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
You remember what, Joel? You couldn't join us, but last week our discussion on how to chair or manage boards, meetings successfully centered on, self-learning in the boardroom. We were looking at self-learning and then boardroom dynamics. Okay, so today we'll look at boardroom dynamics. In self-learning, we said we could summarize it in three main, items. One is about self-identity, knowing who you are before even getting to the boardroom. Okay, that's part of self-learning. It means that you should be able to captain, okay, your own soul. Otherwise, and navigate it to the end that you want. Otherwise, if you let somebody else captain your own soul, they will navigate it away from your own self-direction. It's also about self-capacity and capability. Identify who you are enables you to know what you can do. But above all, it's also about self-determination of the direction of the future. Once you identify who you are, your capability and capacities, okay, it gives you that opportunity to determine your own direction, your future direction. That's all that we said about this, okay, about this. And then the next question is, why do you think that, or why do we think that directors in the boardroom need self-learning? They need self-direction. They need self-determination of capacity and capability, and the self-determination of the future direction. And we said that you will be in a better position to even answer this question. Because if you look at Troika 2012-2015, it's clear. That's your MBA book. It's very clear that directors need this because, one, they are responsible for four main things. You remember? Summarized into two. That is performance and conformance. And performance would come with the issue of strategy and policy, whereas conformance will come with constraining executive action, above all leading to accountability to shareholders. And for that matter, if it is a public sector, then the people through the president. Is that the case? That is so because of this, they will need what we call self-learning. So that can be justified, moving forward. Now, what we have to do today is to share with you now our discussion so that we look at it in terms of, yes, a minute, please. Are we sharing now, please?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Very
Yes, we
well.
can see. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is what I just explained. Okay. Why do directors need this? Because you see, they are in the process or the possession of strategic leadership. Okay. It means that they will need performance, which is strategy and policy. But more importantly, they also need the controls, which is a conformance, monitoring and supervision to constrain executive action, and also ensuring ultimate responsibility. So on the basis of this, you can justify why directors in the boardroom will need self-leadership. So please. Deepen their own understanding in order to be able to provide that strategic leadership, please. Now, what are the building blocks, the fundamentals? And please, my advice is that let's move away from the boardroom and then we apply it to our own personal, professional, continuous professional development process. Okay, what are the fundamentals of self-leadership? Okay, and we said that to lead, actually, these are the building blocks. It means to lead and develop the self-directors must, in the first place, and it applies to all of us, establish your own life goals. And your life goals should be established within the short, medium, and the longer term perspectives. That's important. Once you establish that, you know what you are looking for in terms of the most immediate, which is the short, the medium term perspective, and the longer term. Once you do that, you make it much more smart so that you don't look at what you are looking at in terms of the longer, which is the 5 years and above. You want to achieve it within the most immediate. That will be impossible. It will frustrate you. It will lead to depression. That's important. The next most important thing is to provide exemplary leadership. And how do you do that? Don't be the typical politicians who tells us, tighten our belts. And when they go behind the scene, they're losing their own. That's it. A lot of issues, colleagues. A lot of issues. It does appear that it looks like we are not aware we are in dire straits, economic straits as a country. Of course. The wastage in the system. One would have thought that once you are going to IMF, you would have, begin to take strategic measures to at least reduce the level of wastage in the system completely. Completely. Okay? And you see, Honorable Joel made a point the last time. Whenever we talk of this, our guns are pointed at the politicians, but it includes all of us. Where I sit in the civil service, I think the problem is more of the bureaucrat than the politician, even though the buck stops at the politician. There's no doubt about that. So, for example, I want to find out, why is Ghana under dire economic straits? Would want to go to World Cup and still want to go with the same amount that they have budgeted for? It beats my intelligence and imagination, sincerely speaking. And it will shock you that even private people are involved in this. The GFA officials, the amount that each and every player will take, they will normally go and incite them to take this because it will apply to them at the same time. Is that a politician? Of course, I expected, sincerely speaking, and I was surprised Parliament did not debate this, both the majority and the minority, sincerely speaking, when the minister appears. If Parliament says that, look, we will not, even though we have, this is going to be provided by either the private sector or a partnership between the private. We will not allow this. Almost $8.6 million, colleagues. When the dollar is a sought after commodity. Why? And it will rise all the way to 40 million, depending upon if they reach the quarterfinals or to do what, colleagues? How is it the case that appearance fee is about close to $9 million, and then your own expenditure is about 8.6? Really? So these are the issues. So to provide exemplary leadership is to walk our talk. Walk it. Don't talk it alone. Walk it. Demonstrate. The biggest problem I see is lack of moral leadership. The ability to wake up at 0 o'clock and prick your conscience. Prick your conscience. I agree with you, Honorable. When both sides have vested interest, they will show no opposition. It's a fact. That's why we are where we are. And normally they will agree on monetary matters. And I had, Honorable Joe, I had a shock of my life. I think it was on Friday or so. And I said, look, where is Honorable Joel? Where is Honorable Nick? Where is Honorable Jimmy? We are seated here and talking, but at each other. Look, I can tell you, these guys know exactly what they're doing. But of course, it's a classified information. Maybe behind the scenes I can share, but not on the platform. I was shocked to the marrow. So back to the discussion. Walk the talk, provide exemplary leadership. And I will add that provide moral leadership, so that you can command that moral authority to tell the people to tighten their belt, and they will say yes. Let me leak out the information. Our motto will be, that is, Sig Lord, service with integrity. Service with integrity. And in Latin, it will be our norm. When we meet, for example, for deliberations, when we say Sig Lord, members will respond as Servitium cum integritas. Servitium cum integritas. It means service with integrity. That is what providing exemplary moral leadership is about. Service with integrity. Integrity means to be intact inside out. Inside out. It reminds me of President Rawlings, colleagues. I never understood him until when I was doing my MPhil. When I was doing my MPhil, that was the time I understood President Rawlings. Because anytime he mentioned anytime he was delivering speech, particularly extempo, he would mention the word integrity. So I thought he was abusing it from my secondary school days. Until when I was doing my MPhil in 2006. And I picked the topic, and I told my colleagues that where I will sit in 2022 will depend upon this topic I have taken. And colleagues, I am borne out completely. Because ethics was part of that. And then anywhere I search about integrity to tell me an all-encompassing words, to the extent the then chairman of the NDC lost about 100 million under his bed, in his bedroom. Emphasis mine. And when he told Chairman Rawlings this, part of the word he used was a man of integrity. So I was confused. How? There are banks, and somebody has come to announce that he has misplaced this amount of money. And part of the words President Rawlings used was integrity. Because he was a consuming political actor. Speaking when it takes several years to diagnose, to do or perform dialysis, to understand what he was saying. And I'm being frank to you. This was somewhere in 1999. And I understood it perfectly only in 2006. Because my research of integrity meant an all-encompassing words. But above all, clean and clear conscience. That's what Wallace told the man. Well, you have come to tell me this. I believe it on the face value of that, but I leave it to your own judge, your own conscience. That's what he was telling me. So servitium cum integritas. Service with integrity. I've just told you that will be our slogan. Manufactured. And you will see it as part of the emblem now. So walk your talk. Demonstrate sincerity towards the self and the world. Sincerity to yourself. Don't be sincere to the world alone. I'm telling you, be sincere to yourself. Because when you demonstrate sincerity to the world without sin to yourself, it amounts to deception. You are living a life you are not. Be sincere to yourself first. Because when you overpromise, you are pleasing the world. Within yourself, can you make it? That's important. So exemplary leadership is to walk your talk, demonstrate sincerity to self first, and then to the rest of the world. Reveal the true life pages of the world, including those around you. That's what exemplary leadership is all about. And this is expected of the board of directors. This is expected of us, colleagues. Very, very important. Same as the motto of the Ghana Police Service with integrity. Fantastic. But to make our surprise, we will use the Latin aspect, Honorable James. Servitium cum integritas. So please, learn it. I don't want to ask anybody next week and then you're not getting it. Huh? Servitium cum integritas. I love that. Be bold and fearless, colleagues. Just a minute. Be bold and be fearless. It's a very difficult task. A call to duty, to be bold. Because you step on the toes of people. You don't need to be saddened by the fear of the unknown. That's the biggest problem. Why people fear change is they fear the unknown. What happens when change occurs? But I've always said that it is better we work towards change than the system changing us. And I'll give an example. An example. The system is trying to change the Minister of Finance, but he could have changed himself with some form of integrity and self-respect. Let me be blunt here, colleagues. It does appear to me that we have lost that word conscience on the surface of the land. Moral conscience. I haven't seen this happen, sincerely speaking. A minister in Theresa May's government was to address the House of the Lords, and he was just late by bits. The first thing he did was to intend in his resignation. Even in the face of opposition by the House of Lords themselves. No, it's understandable. He said, no, I could not have disrespected. Please Google it. Lateness. How about the outgoing prime minister? Let's see where we find ourselves. Why? Have we lost this? Have we lost it? Are you surprised where we are? I don't mean only Ghana, it's across Africa. Why? Servitium cum integritas. Learn to question the status quo. The boardroom, yes, boardroom harmony matters. But to see, when there's too much harmony in the boardroom, it only points to one direction. It points to only one direction. The yes sir, yes sir. The yes sir, yes sir. That is not even good for the boardroom, colleagues. Because what it will imply is that you either have the silent seaters or the quiet dissidents, protestants, but they are quiet. Very pacific. But also strive to find the true greatness within yourself. Part of the building blocks of self-leadership in the boardroom is to give honor where it is due. And I remember Honorable James, it was started by Honorable Joel. And I think yesterday I saw Honorable Joanna, I saw Honorable, I think almost everybody contributed to that about leadership. I don't know if it was started by Honorable James or so. And Honorable Joel said it's about giving credit where it is due, not be quick to apportion blame. So strive for success and fame, but please acknowledge the effort of those who made it possible. Who made it possible? Acknowledge the effort of those who made it possible to happen. Nobody's challenging your leadership as a board chair. And that reminds me, Honorable Abu Alaja Pia, we will take your questions just to enhance our discussion, to enrich it. You asked 3 questions. It's still here, but I want you to repeat those questions. Part of the question you asked was whether success in the boardroom is about success of the chair or the organization in terms of its objectives. I remember very well. Your first question was on the difference between why is governance almost synonymous with leadership? And then there was another question, and the third question, that's what I've just said. So please repeat those things. We will answer them just to enhance. So while we strive for fame and success, yes, it was our tenure. We made this thing happen. But please try to acknowledge the effort of those who made it possible. Don't only be quick to apportion blames. You must also demonstrate enough generosity to part away with some level of credits to those who made it possible. That is why the first year, when Prince Amwabeng entered the banking landscape from a loan facility to the main universal land, banking landscape. You remember he made success by taking an award from the Ghana Club Hundreds. And when they were mentioned, even though he was in the hall, he picked it and he dedicated it to his staff. And they said, you made it happen. So I noted it down. That is a true mark of genius leadership. Pick the fame, but be generous enough to say that I dedicate this to the staff or to you people because you made it happen. That's what matters, colleagues. Let them feel part and parcel of the success story. Don't only line them up only for apportioning blames. Because leadership means walking to the freedom ahead of others. To lead is to walk to freedom ahead of others, but be generous enough to pick the rest by hand and walk them to that land of freedom. That's all leadership is about. That is why Madiba says that the best time to lead or true leaders, when they choke success, they recline to the sofa. And they only take the frontal role only in times of danger. That's what leadership is about. To emancipate, participatory leadership, democratic leadership, to empower people. That's all leadership is about. It's important to take credit, but acknowledge those who have made it possible, colleagues. That is a powerful statement. And let's lead by that. But somebody will say, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. But I've seen it more in the corporate arena, sincerely speaking. There are some few people. The good news is that some of them will be our fellows. We've started reaching out to, so 3 of them I've reached out to them. They are giving me positive response. All of them from the banking sector anyway. But we also have leading academics. That's important. Give honor where it is due. Very, very important. Summarize in 3 areas. Strive for fame, but acknowledge those who have made the fame possible. Don't always be quick to apportion blame, but you must be quick to share the success story with those who have made it possible. And also, we need to understand again the concept of leadership. To lead is to develop a mental frame of the future and take the trouble painstakingly as a shepherd and shepherd the rest to that land of freedom. That's what leadership is about. When you do this, you empower people. When you do this, you wouldn't be outside the leadership and then you want to come back again because you did not train anybody. And this is normally the case in the academia, colleagues. You find a whole professor, okay? And then when he finishes, give me contract again, give me contract. To now train people to succeed me. Really? Really? What were you thinking? What was your concept? Colleagues, you find somebody who has risen through the ranks all the way to the vice chancellorship of a university. And when he's done, he now comes back to the small cubicle he was. Okay, can you imagine this, colleagues? Yes. How do the people look at you? You've forgotten you step on the toes of people. Let's be careful. The world itself is full of lessons. Make room for new ideas and opportunities, colleagues. And this is my favorite phrase. Ideas are like babies, colleagues. Ideas are like babies. Not everyone can handle them properly. So when you have a great idea in entrepreneurship, we say that take the trouble, be careful who you voice it out to. Nurture it, develop that bigger breadth here, contain it, nurture it, allow it to become fully matured before you voice it out. Otherwise, you may complete it for me. Be ready to take on new ideas, initiatives, opportunities, and experience. Be adventurous and be ready to open the door of endless possibilities to programs, projects, and process abound your life. That's all. Making room for new ideas. Here, the left hemisphere as against the right hemisphere contain immeasurable number of ideas, utilize it. And that will make the great difference in our lifetime. But also develop an inquisitorial mind. Be inquisitive. Question ideas constantly. Question your actions and influence circles. But above all, develop your drive to enhance your knowledge, competence, skills, and understanding. These are all part of the building blocks of what? Self-leadership in the boardroom. But more importantly for us as governance practitioners, let us apply it to ourselves. All that we have said in the last 20, 30 minutes, colleagues, let's apply it. On this note, colleagues, may I pause and allow for interactions now before we're timed out. Honorable Abu, if you can repeat your questions, or if you can hear me, now you can unmute. You can unmute and then let's chat. Or Joel, if you can take attendance by just having a snapshot of those who are present, that's important. Okay. We can unmute, colleagues, please. Honorable Abu, you were asking a question. The question is, why is governance synonymous with leadership? And yes, Honorable Abu, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Very, very brief, but very incisive, discussions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good.
My question was, what is the reason that when we talk about governance,
okay,
governance and leadership, then the success of a board meeting is the success
of the board chair?
Of the chairman or the success of the organization, because we have the CEO of an organization. Good man. And when it comes to implementation, so do you now see the questions?
Okay.
530.
All right. So let me before your question, let me just, I think Honorable James, you earlier made a remark that knowing yourself will also help you contribute meaningfully in the boardroom. That is fun. That is the whole idea. When you know yourself, it will enable you to contribute meaningfully in the discussion of the boardroom. Okay. Now, Honorable Abu, governance is synonymous with leadership because they are inseparable. And if you look at Stryker 2012-2015, you remember he tried to make a distinction between management and governance. Okay, so instead of management, you can put it as leadership. What it means is that in the boardroom, there's a separation between the CEO and then other board of directors, the independent non-executive directors, including the board chair. The CEO is in charge of strategy and policy to be reviewed by the independent non-executive directors. And part of strategy and policy direction of the CEO and his able lieutenants is leadership, day-to-day administration of the business entity of the organization. Whereas governance is ensuring that the leadership style or the structure adopted is well led, is in the right direction. So you would often find that wherever there's leadership, there's governance. But the overall concept is governance. But in the governance, you would find both governance and leadership. Because the CEO, in terms of a business organization, run the day-to-day. So he's providing strategic leadership. Whereas the governance is ensuring that that strategic leadership is properly led. So anytime you mention governance, you also include what? Leadership. That is a collective concept. Now, the success of the board meeting is a collective success. That is why we are discussing what we are discussing now. Because we are interested in the overall attainment of the organizational objectives. So when you are a board chair and you help to ensure that a meeting becomes successful, you are working in the collective interest of the business. Remember, boardroom meeting success depends largely on the chairman of the board of directors. But when there is success, he doesn't. Remember, we said that you can strive for fame, but be generous to share it with those who have made it possible. So in this case, even though the meeting was successful, it impacted the overall objective of the organization. The credit largely goes to the chair because the president will call, or the shareholders will call on the chair if it doesn't go on well, but he should be generous enough to say that others contributed in making it successful. So success cannot be attributed to only the boardroom chair, but blame can be attributed to him squarely. So let's get it right. So the success of a board meeting largely reflects the success of the organization because it's going to lead to the enhancement of the attainment of objectives of what? The organization. Honorable Abu. Yes, any other, yeah, further, Honorable Joel or any other, please. Let's be quick before we're time out, please. Yes. Honorable James, Honorable Priscilla.
Yes.
Yes. Let's make contributions, particularly to the building blocks. We are still on self-leadership, and let's apply it to ourselves as we move on, please. You have made a very good interjection that knowing yourself would help you to make meaningful contributions in the boardroom. That's a fantastic contribution. Yes. Yep. I saw a hand up by an iPhone user. That's okay. I can, if you want to do anything, ask your question. Yes.
I think the hand was giving you thumbs up.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yes, Honorable Priscilla.
Hello, sir.
Yes, any contribution?
No, not for now.
Prof. RSK, are you here?
So, sir.
Yes.
So I think, so maybe if you enter into the boardroom,
okay,
and maybe you are, let's say you are a finance person.
Okay.